My wife cheated with my co-worker because he was more exciting, so I teamed up with his wife and unleashed the footage that shattered their names.
I, a 36-year-old man, discovered my wife, Julie, a 32-year-old woman, locked in a passionate embrace with my coworker Marcus on the patio during our company's Christmas party.
Marcus and I share the same department, but I haven't confronted Julie yet, so my account relies solely on what I witnessed and the circumstantial clues I've pieced together. I suspect their affair began after last year's Christmas party, though they've been cunning in concealing it. When I joined this workplace, it was my first office party, and Marcus and I were far from friendly. Not because I was the new guy, but because he saw me as a rival. Within my first week, I was assigned some of Marcus's tasks, which I streamlined using my software expertise. Work that took him a week, I completed in 3 days, earning praise from everyone, except Marcus. He scoured my work for flaws but found none, and management reprimanded him for not innovating as I had. Despite my contributions, I didn't gain much traction in the office social scene. Marcus, a charismatic gossipmonger, thrived on attention, charming his way into every clique. People are drawn to gossip, aren't they? I, however, am an introvert, content with my routine, go to work, do my job, and return home to my small circle of college friends and Julie, who was my anchor. 2 months after I started, the company hosted its annual Christmas party. I attended with Julie, who is undeniably stunning, always dressing to accentuate her flawless figure, turning heads wherever she goes. We mingled with colleagues, enjoying the festive atmosphere. As the evening progressed, the dance floor came alive. Julie urged me to join her, but I declined. I've never been comfortable dancing, especially not at work events where I prefer to stay low-key. Marcus must have sensed my hesitation because he swooped in, confidently asking Julie for a dance. She glanced at me, and I forced a smile, feeling cornered. I couldn't object without seeming petty, and I assumed she'd decline, given my strained relationship with Marcus. To my surprise, she accepted, and they headed to the dance floor. I noticed the smug grin on Marcus's face, which gnawed at me. When Julie returned, her face was alight with energy and laughter. Noticing my unease, she teased, "Oh, don't be upset, honey." How could I say no? It would have been rude to refuse him. Her reasoning made sense. It was just a dance, after all. I pushed the incident to the back of my mind, consumed by work demands, never imagining that Julie would betray me with Marcus, the colleague who'd been a constant thorn in my side for a year. Looking back, I wonder if my trust in her blinded me to subtle signs, or if their connection was deliberately kept under wraps, waiting for the right moment to unravel. At this year's Christmas party yesterday, I showed up with my wife again. She hit the dance floor with some of my female colleagues but soon was seen grooving with Marcus. I was like, what the hell? But had to pretend to be cool about it. Other colleagues were quick to notice and exchanged glances. Everyone is aware of the Cold War between Marcus and me. One of them, Noah, remarked, "This is why Marcus doesn't bring his wife along, so he can shake off others' wives' booties." My face flushed at this comment. I asked him to mind his language. He apologized and said he was just trying to be funny to lighten the situation. Other colleagues started debating whether Marcus was married because he claims to be single. A few of them suspect he's married but hides it so he can have open chances with the juniors. Noah was certain that Marcus was married, but no one believed him fully because of his prankster image. He said his sister runs a salon, and one day he dropped by to meet her there, bumping into Marcus, who was accompanying his wife for a grooming session. Everyone just laughed at this, thinking he was making it up. The air in the crowded party room felt stifling as I watched Julie, my wife, sway provocatively with Marcus on the dance floor, their movements far too intimate for my liking. The sight of her laughing, her body pressed close to his, churned a bitter knot in my stomach. Needing an escape from the suffocating atmosphere, I slipped out to the patio, craving the cool night air to clear my head. I leaned against the railing, staring into the darkness, trying to shake off the unease that had been building all evening. A few minutes later, the sound of approaching footsteps broke my solitude. At first, I dismissed it as just another partygoer seeking a quiet moment, but as the steps grew closer, they were accompanied by soft giggles and low, unmistakable moans, the kind that suggested something far more private than a casual stroll. My heart sank. Instinctively, I shrank back, retreating to a shadowed corner behind a cluster of potted plants to avoid being seen. I wasn't sure why I felt the need to hide, but something in those sounds set my nerves on edge. Moments later, a couple stumbled onto the patio, their bodies entwined, lips locked in a fervent kiss. Their hands roamed with reckless abandon, oblivious to the world around them. In the dim glow of the patio's string lights, I recognized them instantly, Marcus and Julie. My breath caught in my throat as I watched Marcus grip her waist with one hand, his other hand slipping beneath the hem of her dress, exploring with a familiarity that made my blood boil. Julie, lost in the moment, clutched his face with both hands, her expression one of unbridled pleasure. The betrayal hit me like a punch to the gut, and every fiber of my being screamed to storm over and tear them apart. I imagined confronting them, fists clenched, letting my rage take over. But something held me back, perhaps the need for undeniable proof, or maybe the shock that paralyzed me. Instead, I fumbled for my phone, hands trembling, and began recording. The dim light was just enough to capture the scene, every detail searing itself into my memory as the camera rolled. Marcus, with a smug edge to his voice, pulled back slightly, gripping Julie's neck as he murmured, "We don't have much time before your low-life husband comes looking for you. Let me give you a good show." Julie's giggle, light and carefree, cut through me like a knife. She sank to her knees, and I stood frozen, recording every second of their brazen indiscretion. Time seemed to stretch endlessly as I stood there, hidden in the shadows, my heart pounding so loudly I feared they might hear it. The video captured it all, their reckless passion, the way they moved as if the world belonged only to them. My body felt numb, a hollow shell where anger and pain should have been. I don't know how long I stood there, rooted to the spot, before the clatter of a garbage bin broke the spell. A janitor appeared, wheeling his cart onto the patio. Marcus and Julie scrambled to compose themselves, cursing under their breath at the interruption. They hurried off, their laughter trailing behind them like a mocking echo. I waited until the janitor finished his task and left, then emerged from my hiding place, my legs unsteady. Without a word, I made my way to my car, the cool metal of the door handle grounding me for a moment. I drove aimlessly, the city lights blurring past as my mind replayed the scene over and over. Eventually, I ended up at my friend's apartment, collapsing onto his couch and pouring out the whole sordid story. He listened patiently, offering no judgment, just a quiet presence as I rambled through the night, trying to make sense of the betrayal. When I checked my phone in the early hours, there was a single missed call from Julie, likely a perfunctory gesture to feign concern. I could almost picture her relief at my absence, free to indulge in her affair without pretense. By afternoon, I returned home, my emotions a tangled mess of anger, hurt, and determination. Julie was still asleep, sprawled across our bed, her peaceful expression a stark contrast to the chaos she'd unleashed. The thought that she might be exhausted from her escapades with Marcus only fueled my fury. I retreated to my study, the door clicking shut behind me, and sat at my desk, staring at the video on my phone. Each frame felt like a fresh wound, but I forced myself to watch it again, ensuring I hadn't imagined the depth of their betrayal. The pain of Julie's infidelity was raw, but the fact that it was with Marcus, the man who'd made my professional life a living hell, made it unbearable. Marcus, with his smug charm and relentless scheming, had not only undermined me at work but had now invaded my personal life in the most intimate way. The betrayal was a double-edged sword, cutting deeper because of his involvement. I knew I had to act, but I needed to be strategic. My first instinct was to find Marcus's wife, if she even existed, and share the evidence of his infidelity. I wanted her to know the kind of man she was married to feel the same sting of betrayal that now consumed me. I opened my laptop and began scouring social media, but Marcus's profiles were locked down, his friends list hidden behind privacy settings. I didn't even know his wife's name, and doubts crept in. Did she really exist, or was Noah's story about seeing Marcus at the salon just another of his pranks? The uncertainty gnawed at me, but I was determined to uncover the truth. I considered my options, weighing the risks of digging deeper. Hiring a private investigator seemed extreme, but the idea lingered. Someone skilled could track down Marcus's wife or confirm her existence. Alternatively, I thought about accessing the company's employee database to find Marcus's address, though that felt like a line I wasn't yet ready to cross. The video on my phone was my strongest weapon, but I needed to wield it carefully. Confronting Julie directly might lead to denials or excuses, and I wasn't ready to face her without a solid plan. I needed advice, a way to navigate this minefield without losing everything I'd built. The holiday season, meant for joy and celebration, had become a twisted stage for Marcus's audacity. His ability to charm his way into my wife's affections while undermining me at work revealed a calculated cruelty. The Christmas party, with its festive lights and cheerful music, now felt like a cruel backdrop to their scandalous rendezvous. I couldn't shake the image of Marcus's smug grin as he danced with Julie, or the way his hand lingered on her waist during their patio tryst. It was as if he thrived on the thrill of betrayal, relishing the chance to humiliate me both professionally and personally. Finding his wife was my next step, but I had to be cautious. A rash move could backfire, exposing my intentions before I was ready. I needed to gather more evidence, perhaps by monitoring Julie's phone or social media for further clues. The thought of her carefree laughter as she dismissed my concerns, calling it just a dance, only deepened my resolve. This wasn't just about infidelity, it was about reclaiming my dignity from a man who'd made it his mission to tear me down. My next move had to be precise, a calculated strike that would leave Marcus and Julie reeling. For now, I'd play the part of the unaware husband, biding my time until I could deliver a blow they wouldn't see coming. One of the most common comments here was, "How did I not see this coming? Was there no sign at all?" Well, I don't know if that was truly a sign or if I had too much faith in my wife. A few months after the first Christmas party, I think it was around spring, I was scrolling through my Facebook feed when I noticed Marcus's comments on Julie's posts. I was taken aback. I asked her if she was in touch with him. She said no, he was just her Facebook friend, like thousands of others. She said Marcus had sent her a friend request after that party, and she had accepted it. That's it, no big deal. I got alert and reviewed her profile more often. I saw Marcus's generous comments with heart emoticons on each of her photos. I asked her about this, and she said it was just one of those hundreds of comments she gets on her pictures. Julie is not a social media influencer, but she's very active there, and her profile is open. I told her that Marcus is not one of the 100 strangers who comment on her pictures. He and I are not on good terms at work. He doesn't even talk to me at work, so why the hell is he interested in my wife's pictures? She replied sarcastically, "You should ask him." Her response infuriated me, and I yelled, "He is no one to me. I cannot question him, but you are my wife. It hurts me to see you in touch with someone whose sole motive in life is to pull me down." Marcus had pulled many tricks at work to show me in a bad light. He was successful a couple of times. I was severely criticized by my manager. Marcus is also a bootlicker and had manipulated our manager into his camp. Julie knows everything about my office politics, yet she let Marcus's flirtatious comments slide into her inbox. This was until July of this year. Then my department bagged a new project, and for that, I had to travel twice every month to the client's office in Seattle. Work got really hectic, and I barely had time to think about anything else. Marcus and I were both on the same team and had similar job responsibilities, but somehow he was always free, loitering at the lobby, while I was immersed in work. It was so overwhelming, but I took it as a learning opportunity and worked my butt off. During this time, I found Julie getting emotionally distant from me. I thought it was because of my work commitments and travel schedule. I tried to make it up by taking her to fancy dinners on weekends and buying expensive gifts for her. She never complained about my travel or my absence at home. She didn't even acknowledge the growing coldness between us, and this was bothering me. I insisted to my manager not to send me for work trips so frequently or at least shuffle it between me and Marcus, but he refused. He said I was more skilled to handle the client there. I said, "Then why does he get all the Achievers Awards every quarter while all I get is criticism?" He had no answer but gave me a false promise that he would recommend my name for the next promotion. He was a bad liar. It was evident on his face that he was not going to do that. Talking about Julie, when she woke up after her long slumber that evening, she asked me why I left her alone at the party. I said, "You needed me? I thought you were having a fun time with your new friend." She laughed and said, "Oh, don't be a jealous baby. It was just a dance." I smiled and let it slide. She thought I was angry that she was dancing with Marcus. I let her think that because I'm going to attack them without any warning. My search for Marcus's wife has yielded no results yet. I tried with Marcus's surname, but the search results were overwhelming. I'm thinking about fishing out Marcus's address from the company's database and heading to his home. I find no other option than this. Any better suggestion than this is most welcome. Isn't a friend request basically like second base nowadays? It seems Marcus is not only a master manipulator at work but also a social media seducer extraordinaire. Heart emojis, really, Marcus? Are we in middle school? And it was just a dance? Ah, yes, the old dance floor diplomacy maneuver, because nothing says innocent like getting down with your office nemesis while your spouse watches from the sidelines. That's a low blow. If she wanted to lay low and not raise any eyebrows, that's not how you do it. As some of you mentioned, it is next to impossible to find someone without a name or handle on social media. I was almost certain to go to his house and find his wife, but then my friend reminded me about my colleague Noah. I felt he knew about Marcus's wife and could help me out here. Though he's a big-mouth person and I'm not very fond of him, I needed his help. The next day, when I went to work, I casually got into a conversation with him and asked him if he knew about Marcus's wife. He smirked and said, "I knew you would ask about her, especially after last night's twerking." Yeah, that's how he is, an annoying piece of crap. I wanted to ask him about her name but didn't have the courage to do so. Maybe he sensed the desperation and helplessness on my face and asked, "Do you want to know her name or contact?" I immediately blurted out in excitement, "Please." He told me her name and said that he would ask his sister for her number. I searched with her name across all social media platforms and found her on Twitter. As per her Twitter bio, she was working in a management position at one of the leading global organizations. I texted her, saying I needed to talk to her about something very important regarding her husband. She responded with her number and asked me to call her. Her response gave me the vibe of a confident and poignant woman. I called her and introduced myself. I told her subtly that her husband and my wife are up to something, and I have the video of them together. She asked me if I could meet her after work. I said, sure. When I went to meet her, I was mesmerized by her aura. She's definitely a woman of value and wit. I wonder how any man could cheat on such beauty with brains. That's right, only a fool like Marcus would. I narrated the details and showed her the video. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she remained composed. She was shocked to know that the office party had an invitation for spouses because Marcus told her that spouses were not invited. I asked her if she had never doubted him. She said she had caught him twice texting some random woman on social media, but it wasn't severe, so she forgave him. I told her that Marcus claims to be single and has this reputation as an F-boy at work and has been associated with many junior colleagues. She cursed at the top of her voice. She had been holding herself until then. She said, "That son of a b needs to be taught a lesson. Do you have any plans in mind?" I said, "No, not right now, but I'm definitely going to make them pay for all the humiliation." She said, "Hold your seatbelt, this is going to be wild." Julie and Marcus have been served with hot, piping revenge. Sandra, a 33-year-old female, and I came up with the following revenge plan. We turned blind eyes to their affair, though we knew they were lying about the sleepovers with friends. We let it slide. We both pretended to be so busy with our work that we didn't give a damn. Julie and I co-own the house. I made an updated document where Julie made me the sole owner of the house and got her to sign it, not forcefully, but tactically. She was once heading out to meet her affair partner, lying that she was going shopping with friends. I deliberately blocked the restroom wardrobe and made her run late. When she was about to leave, I asked her to sign an insurance renewal document. It wasn't suspicious because I pay for all her insurance. She just signs it and gets it done. Between those papers, I slipped in the house ownership document. She signed all of them without seeing them. Sandra emptied all the money from their joint bank account, borrowed Marcus's car, and sold it off to a rookie. The house in which Sandra lived was hers, which she secretly leased out to a new tenant and got a restraining order against Marcus on that property. I blocked all the cards on which Julie was surviving. Numbers 3, 4, and 5 were carried out toward the tail end of the revenge plan, just before ghosting them. Sandra bought a 5-day couple's holiday to Florida as a birthday gift for Marcus, but a day before the trip, she lied that something had come up at work, and she couldn't make it. Marcus quickly suggested that he could take the trip with his guy. Sandra agreed because it was a non-refundable package. During the same time, I lied to Julie that I was going on a 15-day work trip. I checked into a hotel during that period. She called me and said she was going to her school friend's wedding in Vegas. I asked her which friend this was that I didn't know of. She said they had not been in touch for so long but suddenly reconnected, and Julie couldn't say no. I said, "Sure, have fun." She was feeding me lie after lie. Marcus and Julie went on that 5-day vacation to Florida, which Sandra had bought. We used that time to execute our plans. Sandra emptied the joint account, sold his car, rented out her house, and got a restraining order against him. I blocked the cards that Julie had been using, packed up her stuff, and kept it in storage. This would have been all if Marcus had left me alone at work, but no. He went behind my back. He proudly told his work buddies that he had been sleeping with my wife because I couldn't fulfill her needs. He made outrageous comments hinting at me. He even showed Julie's chats to his friends, where she expressed her desires for Marcus and mocked me for only giving her vaginal sex while Marcus gave her a thrilling time. He used to read out her chats loudly to humiliate me without taking my name. I decided to use this against him and recorded everything. Some of the co-workers from Marcus's camp even approached me to humiliate me, saying that Marcus had taken my wife. I mailed all the details to the company's HR, demanding Marcus's termination on the grounds of mental harassment. I even threatened management that I would leak all the workplace harassment details on social media and other review platforms. This negative PR would cost the company a lot, and HR promised me that if the evidence proved Marcus was a bully, he would be terminated as soon as he came back from his 5-day leave. I have also submitted my resignation and asked for immediate release. I left a letter for Julie, which she would get after returning from the trip. It would give her closure. It consisted of more or less the same thing I've mentioned in this update, with a little extra detail. I told her the truth about Marcus, that he is not single as he claimed and that he has a wife who is now my girlfriend. Sandra and I connected over our betrayal and realized that we have so much in common. She's a smart and witty woman with a flourishing career, while my loser wife is a bum. She's never done a full-time job, and her part-time job seemed like a burden to her. She used to complain about it all the time. I'm amused to imagine her dilemma when she would have to work full-time because now she doesn't have me to provide for her, and her loser lover doesn't have a job either. Sandra slipped off Marcus's credit card just as she was leaving for the trip. He would have found it missing after reaching Florida. The situation in Florida is going to be hilarious. Marcus has no cards, and I've blocked Julie's. Sandra also called the hotel to cancel the booking just before Marcus and Julie were about to arrive in Florida. She didn't get any refund, but who cares? We would give up anything to watch the fun these losers go through on their lust trip. Sandra and I have also decided not to divorce these losers because we don't want to waste any more money on them. If they want to get rid of us, they can pay for it, which looks highly unlikely now. We both have updated our wills and removed them from all of our assets. In case anything unforeseen happens to us, they won't get anything by default as our spouses. Sandra and I are moving to Seattle to start a fresh life. I got an offer from the client company to join them directly with a raise that's double my last salary. Sandra said she wanted to take a break from work and enjoy life for some time. She has enough savings to last for a couple of years without worry. Our belongings are already on the way to Seattle. By the time Marcus and Julie return, we'll be away on a month-long holiday to the Caribbean, basking in the sun. It's so much fun with Sandra, a woman who matches my intellect and curiosity. I feel so lively again. We're not seeing this as our forever, but we're enjoying our time together while it lasts. Oh, to be a fly on the wall when they realize their paradise vacation has turned into a comedy of errors. Honestly, I'm proud of you, Up. This is masterful. This is the superhero ending we all needed, where the losers get left in the dust while you, Up, ride off into the sunset, laughing all the way to the Caribbean with a bombshell of a lady. Nothing says soulmate quite like finding someone who's not just willing but eager to scorch the earth with you. Because, let's face it, anyone can hold your hand through the good times, but it takes a special kind of partner to light the match. What do you make of all this? Have you found new love like this in the most unsuspecting of places?